ready for true happiness, for deep fulfillment, for feeling alive, on purpose, and in control of your life again? It's time to be the bold, brilliant, beautiful woman you were born to be. Welcome to the PurposeGirl Podcast. I'm women's happiness and life purpose expert, Karen Rockheim, and I'm going to teach you how to live on purpose, feel alive, and be happy in every aspect of life. I'm going to get real about my life and interview women who are living on purpose so that you can finally live yours. Welcome to the show.
Hello, my purpose girls. So I want to share a confession. 2 weeks ago, I went to see a postpartum stress therapist because I have been experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety. And I'm actually super proud. I'm super proud that I went. Here's the thing. This depression didn't show up the way that other depression has. Like, I haven't been down. Instead, I've been picking fights with Josh, left and right, finding everything wrong with him, screaming at him. I've had meltdowns once a week. I'm totally good. Everything's fine. And then these meltdowns where you can't tell who is having a bigger meltdown, me or the baby. When the baby screams, I just want to put him in the crib and walk away. Feels horrible as a mother admitting that, but that's the truth. And then there are times I have felt distant from him. He's not mine. I'm just here to babysit him or something. And it was when I was sharing my birth story, the traumatic birth story. And if you haven't heard my birth story, go back and listen to that episode. It was when I was sharing the traumatic birth story with a social worker in a mom's group that I'm in. She said, "Have you seen a therapist?" And I was like, "No." And I said, "I'm super proud of my difficult birth." And she said, "Well, this might catch you, right? You might end up with depression or anxiety. And here's what that looks like." And I went, "Oh my God, okay." And here's what I'm learning. I'm learning how normal this is. I'm learning how normal this is. And the thing is that we need to acknowledge this. We need to even celebrate it. This is also part of motherhood. And that this is our opportunity to be human, to be women, to feel, to love ourselves, and to heal ourselves and to heal the world. And so my guest today is the perfect expert who's going to walk us through all of this. Chiara Townley was born in Italy. She's lived in the UK and Spain and now lives in Portland, Oregon. She's a published writer and has contributed to several publications. An article she wrote for Good Housekeeping is what really drew me into her. She wrote about her postpartum depression and anxiety. She wrote to the entire world through Good Housekeeping magazine that she didn't feel connected to her baby for the first few months. And it was a sigh of relief. Finally, a woman is acknowledging that it is not all what it might look like on Instagram. In the year 2020, she transformed her personal challenges into a spiritual business. She uses writing and intuition to provide guidance. She is beautiful inside and out, and I'm so honored to have her on the PurposeGirl Podcast. Chiara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your show.
Oh, thank you for saying that. So this is something I'm experiencing right now. I love my baby. I can't get enough of him. I look at him constantly. I touch him constantly. And I resonated so much with the article that you wrote and realizing that there have been times when I didn't connect with him or I didn't feel like he was mine. The first 6 days he was in the NICU, I didn't feel like I was a mother. He's upstairs in a totally different floor of the hospital. So let's start with postpartum and your own journey that led you now to support other people through spirituality and your intuition. So let's talk about your own journey first with postpartum.
Yeah, so, things weren't easy for me from the pregnancy because I had morning sickness the first couple of months, and then it was replaced by acid reflux, heartburn throughout all the pregnancy. So I hated it. I didn't throw up a lot, just a couple of times, but it was always there, in my throat, ready to come off.
The heartburn was the worst. I had no idea that was going to happen during pregnancy. It was the worst. Did your baby have a lot of hair?
Yes.
Mine too. And then
Yes.
I guess everyone says that hair has to do with it. So anyway, I interrupted you. So you had a difficult pregnancy, didn't like it.
No, and I'll talk about it later. Like, there was a lot of resistance. So rejecting the experience, complaining a lot, and then that's not useful because you kind of bring more pain to yourself. So I made that mistake. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes. So there was a lot of resistance. And then I wanted a natural birth. I was open to the epidural. But, you know, C-section scared the hell out of me. I am so scared of like surgeries and blood and all this, you know, I can't watch them on TV and things like that. So I was like, no, this is not going to happen to me, you know, and, you know, trying to be positive, but at the same time, not being open to the other scenario, kind of ignoring it. And so when I had to be inducted, you know, because my baby was late, and so I went to the hospital, and things were progressing really, really fast. So I was like, okay, well, this baby's gonna come out. That's great. I got the epidural, like it was too much pain. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it, the epidural. But then they told me after 4 hours pushing, when I felt like I was really close, they told me that the baby, his head was stuck, and so they needed to perform a C-section. And at that point, I was like, you know, just so exhausted, and I started to cry. But, you know, you don't even know that you're crying. You're just like in the full of your emotion and desperation. Whatever that is, you don't have a choice. And so I went in, and during the surgery, I was able to kind of like keep it together. After the baby was born, they wanted to put the baby on my body. You know, I was laying down and I didn't want the baby. And my brain couldn't process what had happened in that room. They had to give me an anti-anxiety medication because I was like, what the heck happened? You know,
right. What just happened to me here? I had one too. So I totally get it. Yeah.
Oh, you had a C-section?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many similarities in our story. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they gave me anti-anxiety medication, and I was better after that, but I was focused on my pain. I have to be honest. You have to feed your baby, but it was so painful. Just like, you know, I couldn't, as you know, like it takes a couple of weeks to even walk straight after a C-section. So the fact that, you know, they have to put you on a wheelchair to go out of the hospital, you know, all these things that make you feel just really sad, because, you know, you start not to feel yourself anymore. And it kind of like starts that way, you know?
Yeah. You went from being a healthy, you know, kind of whole woman to being cut open, and you didn't have the experience of the birth that, you know, can feel like, I've never had I've never had a vaginal birth, but my experience of a C-section, you go in literally 1 second from not being a mother to being a mother. Like all of a sudden if you have the vaginal birth, you're in this process, right? There's like this space and this time and this process where you're working with the baby. That's what I've imagined. I could be totally wrong. But anyway, I totally resonate with what you're saying. And then you end up, like you said, in a wheelchair, and you can't move and you can't walk around and you can't go upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so painful, especially, I don't know if you relate, like at night, like you fall asleep and then you wake up and you remember of that scar, and like it hurts so bad. And then your baby's crying and it wants your boobs, you know, and you're like, no, I don't want to do this now. And,
right.
You know, my husband was really helpful. So luckily, you know, he got up in the middle of the night, you know, he helped, like when I pumped, you know, he helped feed the baby. But I didn't feel a connection with him either, because he was more worried about the baby, right? So you start to feel like second now, right? Like, you know,
girl, you are singing my language. Oh my God. Yes. A C-section is like the only surgery, it has to be the only surgery in the world where your whole body is cut open, your abdomen is cut open, and then you get no rest. You have to take care of somebody else. Instead of the world taking care of you, you have to take care of someone else. And it's insanity. And then everyone else is taking care of the baby too, right? And like, I read in your article something about like selfishness, and I totally was feeling that. And I used to be a very selfish person, you know, anyway, continue. Yes.
Yeah, I totally relate. You know, I've done what I wanted in life. Like I left Italy. I went to live there and whatever, like always just thinking about myself. And I knew that, you know, there's a point where you have a baby, you make sacrifices, you change your life, you know, but yeah, I wasn't ready for that emotional turmoil that happened. But yeah, anyway, he was really helpful. And so that was really comforting. So the problems for me came when he went back to work. So, the idea of being alone with this baby, just like gave me just a lot of anxiety and obsessive behavior, obsessive thoughts, you know, like the death of the baby. Like, I'm not able to take care of this baby. It's not going to survive, you know, because I can't, because, you know, I'm not able. So that was awful, you know, and I talked to him. I said, something's happening to me. I just feel really, really anxious. He said, like, thank you for letting me know. And then I thought about it in the following days, and I'm like, I'm still feeling this way, you know, because, you know, sometimes you have a feeling and then it goes away, but the depression and the anxiety, when it lasts, you know, several days, like a week, then you should probably look for help, or whatever works for you. You know, you should just address it. So I decided to call my OB and I talked to her, and I said, I have this like obsessive thoughts, you know, and she said, okay, well, you know, we get an appointment with someone. And I also wanted to talk to other women. So, you know, I went on Facebook, and it's so easy on Facebook, you know, to find people who are being through the same thing. So I said, hey, I'm going through this, you know, does anybody want to talk to me? And the community of women was really supportive, but it made me realize it's way more common than we think. I was like, wait, all these women, you know, and I didn't know anything about it. My close girlfriends who had babies never told me about it. And when I asked them, they said, yeah, I actually went through something. And I was like, okay, well,
why are we talking about this? Yes. Yeah, it's true. We don't hear or talk about this other side of motherhood, this other side of post C-section, or however you gave birth, and the breastfeeding and the challenges and the difficulty. So thank you for talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. And I get it. You know, sometimes you want to forget. You overcame the obstacle. You know, you're better now, and you just don't want to talk about it. And I get it. But some other women just don't want to talk about it because they want to show you that everything is fine. You know, so there are different reasons. But whatever the reason is, it's wrong and plain wrong. And we have celebrities who talk about it, you know, but we don't talk about it enough. Let's say, yeah, you know, we talk about it, but no, we don't talk about it enough. So that's the big problem here. So I talked to some of these women, and, you know, I was planning, you know, I talked to them via Facebook, via messages, and I was planning to have a conversation. But I realized the more I talk about it, the worse I felt. So most people probably feel better because you feel less lonely. But for me, it was just like, no, you know, the more I talk about this depression and anxiety, the worse I feel. I feel just like that I identify with it. And that's kind of the key word. We make mistakes when we identify with our feelings and emotions. And that happens because our brain does that. Like, obviously, when we have an emotion, we have feelings, you know, our brain comes in, wants to find explanation, wants to investigate. And that's okay. That's all fine. It's part of self-awareness. But if we were able to accept the emotion and the feeling just for what it is, without necessarily going in with the brain and finding explanation, we would be much better. And like I always like reminding people, we are the ocean, and our feelings and emotions are waves. So they come and go. If we train our brain to understand that they are temporary and it's not who we are, and we shouldn't identify with them, then the brain is going to learn, right? Like, we create new neural pathways. And so I decided I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I was like, this is not me. Like, I kind of told my brain, I've always loved life. I've always been a positive person. This can't be my new reality. It's certainly something temporary. And so I asked my husband, my family, my friends to remind me of the person I was before. So to constantly tell me, hey, you remember when we did this? Or like, you know, you said that, or like, just remind me of that, you know, and that's like kind of worked for me more than therapy or anything else.
This is so cool. Who do you identify as, right? And becoming a mother, you take on a whole new identity, right? And it's foreign, and you don't know who you are as that. And what I'm hearing is that you were identifying at first with the difficult story. And the more you shared it, right? The more you talked about it, and the more other people said, oh, yeah, me too. And then it's like this commiserating, and that just made you feel worse. Different people are different, right? It can make you feel better or worse. And for you, you wanted to identify instead, let me remember who I actually am.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I just felt worse. So I felt like this clearly doesn't work for me. No judgment. If you need help, look for help. For me, it's just, like you said it really well. Like, it made me just identify with that, commiserate. I was like, no, that's not me. That can be true. That can be my reality. And it wasn't about rejecting it. So going back to this idea, I started to work with acceptance and the idea that I don't want to reject. I don't want to resist the experience. I want to accept it. I want to start to breathe into it. But I also, at the same time, want to tell my brain that it's not me and this is temporary. So, you're kind of like, even out loud, I would tell, like, when I would have the emotion, the anxiety coming in, I would just say out loud, this is not me, this is temporary, this is going away, and emotions are like, go away, they come back, but like, your job is to reduce the episodes. You can, remove anxiety from a day to the other, but you can reduce the episodes. You can slowly but surely take power away from it. Because when we identify with a feeling, we give it power. And when you give power to anxiety, it becomes this negative cycle because it goes into your body, into your feelings, into your emotion, into your brain. And it's just destructive.
Yeah. Rather than accept, anxiety is a perfectly normal human emotion. Sadness is a perfectly normal human emotion. And I love your analogy. I almost want to put a picture frame around it with the ocean and the waves. We are the ocean, and you're going to have a wave. Oh, look, there's some anxiety. Okay, I will love myself through it. I will acknowledge this is an emotion that's coming up, and it's just an emotion, and let it pass. The same with sadness or whatever comes up. That's so powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's also equally important to investigate, but I would say not in the moment you're having the emotion, right? So because otherwise it becomes like really, like it gives more power to anxiety. Breathe into it and it's going to go away, of course, like an attack, like it doesn't last forever. Once you're not in it, then you can investigate, talk to people you love. Hey, I was feeling that way. Journal is a great way. So self-awareness is very important, equally important, but a mistake that we make as humans is to want to investigate when we are in it. And that is very dangerous because then the brain, again, identifies with that emotion and is like, oh my God, so I don't love my baby. So it's true, like you start to just convince yourself about that. Well, if I don't want my baby clothes, it means I don't love my baby. Oh my God, so what's wrong with me? I'm a bad person. And like you go into this cycle that is like never ending. So don't do that. Just breathe into it. Just like try to breathe. And then it's going to go away. And then eventually comes the time when you want to investigate.
I love this. So in your own story, you were sharing with other women, and then, wait a minute, that's not working. And you did something so powerful that I want us all to remember. So whether you're listening to this and you are postpartum or you never have kids, we all have experiences where we have these waves of the anxiety, waves of depression. And instead you said, who do I want to identify as? What do I want to identify with? And you asked your friends and family, remind me of who I am. Let's talk about stories. And so what did that do for you, Chiara?
It just reinforced this idea that everything was temporary. It's all like a brain retraining thing, like I believe that the brain can be retrained no matter how dark things can get because it's a muscle. So the more it's the story you tell yourself. Once I started to tell a different story and I said like, no, I love life. I'm a positive person. This is not who I am, and it was an identity crisis, like you're saying. For me, it felt like someone was giving me a new life, but I already had an identity, and so it was like integrating these two forces, it was just so overwhelming for me. And then what happened is that I have studied the chakra system for many years. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the idea is that we have an energy field that extends beyond our body. And there are 7 energy centers that are the core where the energy is. And these 7 energy centers go from the base of the spine to the top of the head. And so I've studied them for many years, but I never really, I guess, integrated the lessons or like really listened to my body. So I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. Where is the imbalance here? You know, what is it? Because I knew it was identity, and our identity, our personal power resides in the first chakra in the stomach. So when you start to feel, you know, that stomach ache, like you don't digest very well and things like that, it's kind of a way of your body also to tell you, hey, there's something about personal power and your identity that is not working right now. So that was clear to me, but there was something else that I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And so I just started to listen a little bit more to my body, and I felt like a pressure on my chest. You know, there was like some kind of pressure, and I didn't know what that was. And then I started to think about, you know, the chakra system. I was like, wait, okay, so the 4th is about love and compassion and self-love. And I was like, wait, if I think that I'm not a good mom, if I think that I can't do this, I essentially stop loving myself, because if I think I'm a bad person, it means I'm not loving myself. And so I was like, that's why I don't love my son, or I don't feel that love, because, you know, obviously it's there. It's just hidden behind all these fears and anxieties. It's because I stopped loving myself. And so in a way, that awareness was really revealing for me. And I was like, oh, this is where I have to focus, you know. So through different tools like positive affirmations and visualizations about loving myself, I went back to love myself in a way. But, you know, with discipline, you know, just kind of every day reminding myself, no, I love myself. I love myself. I always love myself. But just, you know, repeating it out loud, meditating and sending love to myself, to that place in the heart. These tools are so incredible. And you need discipline, obviously. So with discipline and just listening to my bodies and working with the chakra system, I was able to heal.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, I literally just came from a coaching session with one of my clients where we were diving into self-love, because it's a word that's out there a lot, you know, like just love yourself, self-love, you know, but how do we actually do it? And you're giving us some beautiful tools of, one, remembering who we actually are. And any of you who are out there, if you're a new mother, maybe you have a teenager, but you feel like you've lost yourself. So many women come to me at that point, right, where your kids are 10 or 15, or they're about to go off to college or work, and you're like, well, who am I now? This idea of our identity and losing who we actually are. So you can have the people in your life, when I'm hearing you say, Chiara, we can have the people in our life remind us of who we are. And then we can actively, and it takes intention, it takes practice, remind ourselves, but this is who I am. And I love myself. And to keep repeating that over and over and over again. It's so powerful.
Yes. And also the way we see identity, it made me, you know, think about so many things, obviously, during that time. And the way we perceive identity, especially in a country like the US, you know, where it's very much tied to work, to your professional life. When you start to become more spiritual, whatever spiritual means to you, for me, like focusing more on this energy field instead of my physical body gives you this idea that your identity is actually your essence. It's not tied to anything else. And that, for me, was liberating, because it's like, wait, identity is not, you know, what I was before without my baby, or what I am now without my baby, something bigger. It's a deeper concept. And that also helped me, you know, because I think that before I start, like, you know, I was thinking about identity as like, yeah, my professional life or my choices. And it's part of it, but it's much bigger. And that's why I think spirituality helps me so much, because every time, you know, I feel like I want to, you know, find specific meanings to things or attach emotions to specific thoughts or things like that. You know, I just remember that I'm much more than that I have this other energy field around me and that I have to keep balanced. And that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. I love that our identity is actually our essence. And if a woman's out there and she's like, well, how do I know what my essence is? What's the guidance?
So I would say that your essence is related to your soul. Here I'm going to get more into spiritual stuff, okay? So maybe not everybody is going to believe this, but I'm going to try to, explain what I believe and why it helps me.
Do it, girl. Let's go. Let's go there.
Okay, let's do it. So we are souls, first and foremost. And what I believe is that, so our souls come to this earth with a precise intent that is based on previous lifetimes. So I believe in reincarnation. So what our souls do before coming into this lifetime, they make spiritual contracts. And these contracts are based on lessons that we have learned or haven't learned in previous lifetimes. So when we come here, our main job is to learn these lessons, to put it in practice in your life. When you notice certain things that keep on happening, I don't know, you change job, but you always have issues with your boss, Maybe you're not meant to be an employee. Maybe you're meant to be an entrepreneur. Pay attention to what life is telling you. That is probably your lesson. And that's what you need to learn. So once you step away from the idea, oh, I want to do this. I want to make a lot of money. I'm ambitious. I want to do this in life. You can still do all of that. But focus on the lesson. What is it that you think is the lesson that you have to learn in this lifetime? For me, it's definitely patience. I've always been really bad with that. And I think my son is going to also teach me that.
Nothing's going to give you patience like having a baby, right? I mean,
exactly. And so it's about identifying also these bigger lessons. And once you start to change the focus, then you connect more with your soul, So
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I also always talk to women about you are your essence, it's who you are. And often I'll get into conversation with women where they don't know who they are or remember. And I love what you're talking about is your soul. And I'm hearing you say your soul's purpose. Why did your soul come here? And of course, I do a lot with purpose, and we think of purpose as kind of our active impact in the world. But there's this other aspect of purpose, which is your soul came here for a very specific lesson that the soul needed. And for you is patience. For me, it's trust. My whole life has been around trust. Trusting myself, trusting universe, trusting source. And really having that. And our essence too. The word just makes me think of aura. Like every woman walks around with this beautiful aura around her. And for some of you out there, your essence might be this generosity, might be patience, might be love. For some of you, your essence is like hot pink wild, your essence is passionate. I see like this bright orange fire. And whatever your essence is, that's who you really are, right? That's the real identity. And that's hard to keep when we become mom, right? Like right now, I am covered in spit up. My boobs are overflowing. Like I need to pump so badly, right? My body's been taken over by another human being. And it's hard to find time to brush my teeth, let alone put on the makeup, So remembering who we are at our essence, and I'm fortunate I get to do this work. Like last night I had my first Goddess on Purpose class, so I got to be myself. And it's much more challenging when we take on this new role as mother.
Yeah, absolutely. It is more challenging. And I can tell you that when I was in those first couple of months, I thought it would last forever. And it went by so fast. So also just remember this idea that everything is so temporary. I think it's just so crucial that we focus on the present moment, because our ego, unfortunately, takes us either back to the past where we have regrets, where we're missing our past life, right? Before baby, or to the future, like, oh my God, how long am I going to have to do this? And you become anxious. The key is to always go back to the present moment. When the mind goes to the past or to the future, just go back to the present. It's going to go so fast. You don't even imagine. But if you start to think about how long it's going to last, how many days, how many weeks, then you get really anxious and with reason, I remember that every time I woke up in the middle of the night to pump, I was like, oh my God, how many days? Let me count. And I was like, no.
I resonate with this so much because I wake up in the middle of the night every night to pump, and it's like, how much longer do I have to do this? How much longer do I have to do? And And that is such a waste of time, right? As opposed to being in the moment. I am nourishing my child right now. I am with him. I had a huge aha the other night, Chiara. I'm like, oh, instead of scrolling through Facebook or the news or one more pumping or parenting article, I could meditate during this time. Like at 3 a.m, I could turn on my meditation app, and I did, and it was lovely. And it's the same amount of time. I'm spending the same 30 minutes pumping, so I may as well do it and spend that time in a way that nourishes my soul. It was such an aha, right? Like, what do I want in this moment?
That's awesome. The amount of growth also that you go through with a baby. One of my spiritual teachers, the first thing she said to me when I got pregnant, she said, remember, your children are going to be your biggest teachers. And I always keep that in mind, because we tend to, as mothers, we think about what we have to teach, what we have to give, how we have to nurture. We forget that they are our teachers as well. And that changes perspective. Again, is more spiritual. And that's, again, why it helps me. Babies come directly through the source. And so they are very magical in a spiritual way. When you start to get to, again, focus on this instead of the feeding and the things you have to teach and now that you have to take care of him, think about what he's giving you. He's giving you energy source every single day. Suck that up.
Thank you, Mama. Absolutely. He is already my biggest teacher in trust, as we talked about. You know, I had a very complicated pregnancy, and I had to trust, as I was diagnosed with vasa previa, which is a condition that can lead to stillbirth. And I had to trust. I had to trust before that because I had to go through 5 years of miscarriages and IVF. And then when he was born, he almost died during delivery. And I had to trust again. And then in the NICU, I had to trust. And so indeed, he's the biggest teacher. And now I just learned that he has a milk protein allergy. And I've been pumping all this milk. And I have to I have to trust as I transition him to something non-dairy, either in my own body or elsewise. And so it's so interesting, this idea that our children are actually our teachers for that great lesson. Like you said, patience. And what I'm hearing in your story, Chiara, for the first couple months when you didn't feel connected to him and you felt all these different, you didn't know who you were anymore and anxious and depressed, talk about needing to be patient and your lifelong lesson of patience. It's like that whole experience happened for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these lessons come back to us if we don't learn them. And these are trust, like yours, and patience are big. Usually we talk about big lessons that the soul comes here to learn. We're not talking about small things. So usually it takes a lifetime. So I'm getting better with patience, but I'm nowhere near. I bet my soul is going to have to come back for that again.
Right. Probably 6 more times I'm going to have to do this trust thing, Now, I want to get into the chakras, because you said something that really resonated. You've said so much that resonated. I would have thought I was the only mother who didn't feel connected to her baby at first, except that I've had clients tell me that they didn't and that they felt that there was something wrong with them. So fortunately, I had a couple of women share with me, so I knew that. But it did feel like there's something wrong with me for not feeling connected. I should feel connected. And there was all that. And then I have had stomach issues since giving birth, to the point where I went to a GI doctor a week or 2 ago. And she put me on a whole new nutrition plan and said my gut flora is all messed up and that it's because of an antibiotic that I had for the C-section. And what's interesting is that I'm hearing you say that there's an energetic piece, and that really resonates because I thought I'm taking the medicine that she gave me to take and I've switched my food, my diet, but I haven't connected yet with my belly and what my belly is trying to say to me.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that stomach is the issue because, as I said, it's related to identity and personal power. And when we feel either powerless or we don't know who we are anymore, that's the energetic center that gets blocked. And there are what I also use in my practice, there are specific visualization that through my intuition, when I talk to the client and I know everything, kind of their history and what they're going through, I think about my intuition suggests specific visualization that can help, and specific positive affirmations that are related to the power that we all have, right? So things like, I am powerful, I can shine in everything I do. Just things that I think I take some time to think about, and then I put in written form. It's like what I do is kind of a written document that my clients can go back to. And I give them all these tools, and obviously then they have to do the work, right? It's about discipline. During meditation, focusing on images is the visualization is very important, because some people are just not good at just stopping the mind, or so that helps you, because it's like, oh, I'm focusing on this because it's good for me. A general image that I can tell you is that, the color of the third chakra is yellow. It's connected to the sun. And so whenever you want to focus on something and take that power back, focus on the sun. It's such a powerful image, and so close your eyes and focus on the power of the sun. And you are that sun.
Chiara, I was going to say, I know that you don't know me very well. You've listened to some of my podcasts before. We've now been talking for, 30 minutes or so. Would you take me through a little visualization and everybody can experience what that's like?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
great.
Of course.
Let's do it.
We can do that. Okay, well, just then let's close the eyes. So let's focus on the breath. Let's inhale and exhale, opening the mouth. And let's do it 3 times. Do it at your own pace. And then when you inhale, try to inhale all the, issues, anxieties, depressions, whatever that is. And just get it out at the exhale. So be very intentional with these 3 breaths. Okay, now let's keep the eyes closed and let's go into this energetic center that is located in our stomach. So just go into that, focus on that part of your body. Okay, so try to feel it, right? So in this moment, try to feel your stomach. How does it feel? Try to, is it warm? You can put your hand on it too. I do that too, to connect. Just connect with that space for a minute, right there. Keep on breathing and just think about your stomach. And now, how are things going there? Just focus on that space for a minute. Your stomach is telling you something. Learn how to listen to your body. Now, focus on the color yellow. Yellow is the color of the 3rd chakra. And the best image that you can think about when you think about yellow is the sun. So focus on the sun. See the sun in whatever way you want to see it. In a nice sunny day with the blue sky. In the moment it breaks through the clouds and shines when you don't expect it. Or just go up there in the universe and then see that giant ball burning in the universe. So whatever image of the sun can help you right now, focus on the sun. That sun is not something that is away from you, it's in you. So this sun is located right there in your stomach, and it's your power. And it's there to remind you that you are incredibly powerful. You are like the sun. There's no identity that is tied to anything. Your identity is the sun, this power. You have this incredible power inside of you, and you can access it every single time you want. There's no being powerless. because you have the power inside of you, and you can go back to this sun every single time you want. So whenever you feel powerless or like you can't see your identity anymore, go back to this image of the sun, breathe into it, take the time you need, and just focus on the sun. So let's focus on this image for a minute. Remember that you are powerful. You can shine like the sun in everything you do. And it doesn't matter what you do. It can be washing the dishes. You can shine in every single moment of your life. It doesn't matter what you do because the power is inside of you. Keep on repeating that to yourself every single day.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Chiara. I don't know about all of you out there. I hope you're all feeling the sun in your own bellies. My belly now feels warm. I feel the radiating light, that yellow center. And I love the mantra that you just gave me, that I am powerful no matter what I'm doing. I have the image of washing the dishes and being the sun.
Nice.
Washing the pump parts, right? The plastic pump parts, all the pump parts.
I love it.
It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. That's so fantastic. And something you said resonated so much, that this has been a control question and power question. And that really resonates about my stomach, because he almost died at birth. And that's what I'm really discovering in the therapy I'm doing, is that control, or that lack of power, really impacted me. And even then a fear of getting close to him because I had no power, right? And so I love this. I am the power. I am the sun, and I can own that in this moment.
Yeah, it's an illusion not having power. We all have power. Obviously, in this condition, sometimes on this earth, we are powerless. It's true, but we have to focus on the fact that the power is always inside of us. It's a different way to retrain your brain, right? There is Western psychology does it in a way, I do it in another way, and different ways to retrain the brain.
Yeah. Now, you do a lot with writing and spirituality. How does someone use writing and spirituality for their own well-being?
So I started, with writing. I self-published a book about the story of how I met my husband, which is a crazy romantic love story. And I wanted to get the story out at the time. Then I realized I wanted to be a professional writer. So I studied the craft and I started to pitch, publications and things like that. That's how I got out there. But after going through my postpartum and realizing that I had learned so many tools throughout the years, and it was time to give back and teach these tools to other people, I needed some kind of detachment. So here's the thing. When I was younger, I wanted to be a psychologist. And I didn't pursue that route because I had too much empathy. I was afraid to talk to people and bring back their problems and just keep on thinking about it. And I was like, I can't do that. It's sad because I'm fascinated by the mind and all these dynamics, but I can't do that. Now, with the years, I abandoned that. I studied travel, tourism, and then I went into writing. And when I thought about what I wanted to do, I started maybe I should be a life coach, but, maybe I should do this other thing. Maybe I should, I don't know. I was just considering different things. And then I thought about, wait a minute, I can still use writing and counseling. I just gonna find my own way of counseling people that is gonna allow me to feel some kind of detachment too. So I kind of invented this thing out of the blue. And it's this idea, so I call it a written report and action plan. So it's something I ask my clients to fill out a form that has specific questions that allow me to understand where if the chakras are blocked, which ones. And then I talk to them for an hour and then I feel them. Obviously, I use my intuition a lot, my let's say, spiritual gifts a lot to connect with them. And then I take some time to create a plan that is in written form. And it starts with like the analysis of their chakra system, where the blockages are and why. And then I give them tools like the one that I shared with you today, because it's more like a general image. And sometimes that one will come and I will use that one. But other times, like I'll have a specific image about the client and what the client needs. Some people need to make peace with the past, and so they need to meet this person somewhere. So I create scenarios and I write them down, positive affirmations, and depending on the person, other tools like gratitude or journaling, depending on what I feel the person needs. And then there's a little paragraph about astrology and Ayurveda. It's not big, but it helps me to give other tools and other ways to see why they're in a certain way. And then I finish with 2 tarot readings. One is general wisdom. So I don't ask the client what they want to know. I connect with my spirit guides and I ask them, what should I tell this client, this person? And then the other reading is about the soul's path. So what is this lesson? What is the lesson that we're talking about? So I look into it through the tarot. And hopefully, I'm able to tell the person, hey, this is your biggest lesson. This is what you should focus on. And that's in written form. And then I'm obviously there, if the person wants to talk again, accountability and things like that. But it starts with the idea that I believe in self-healing. And so I'm here they are. I'm going to give you some tools, some new perspective on your life, and do the work.
I love it. And it gives you the ability to really be with someone and sit with someone and then provide someone with their own plan. Here's how you move forward. It's so beautiful. And it sounds like you're using the tools that got you through the postpartum depression, got you through the postpartum anxiety and into a place of thriving and well-being.
Yeah, it was that experience that allowed me to, often we go through the darkness and we come out and we want to help other people. It's kind of a general theme. And it's true, if you don't go through the darkness, you don't grow. Unfortunately, that's what it is. That's the experience on earth.
Amen, sister. I always talk about pain to purpose. That is what it is. Do you mostly work with postpartum women then?
No, I have mostly women as clients, just because women are a little bit more, just open in terms of like spirituality. So not many men. I'm open to that, but I obviously focus more on women. And yes, I focus on that. But anybody has blockages, anybody. So anybody can benefit from this. And obviously, yes, I'm a woman, so I'm very connected with that type of situation and energy. So it's easier for me to do that.
Right. Well, such beautiful, beautiful work and such an important story that it's okay to feel a disconnect from your child. It's okay to not suddenly be in love with motherhood. It's okay to experience disconnection with your identity. All of that is okay, and to go within spiritually and work with your...
Don't feel guilty. That's my thing. In the article, I said, I don't feel guilty about it, because as you were saying in the beginning, it's part of the journey, and every fucking journey is different.
Amen, sister. Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen. So, Chiara, one of the things I love to do with my guests is something I call a purpose power play round. And I'm going to just ask you a few random questions, and whatever's the first thing that comes to your mind is the correct answer. Are you down?
Yeah, let's do it.
They won't be hard. They're not hard. All right. So I know you wrote a book about your love, and that's amazing. And we definitely have that in the show notes. In addition to that, what's the one book you think everyone needs to read?
Oh my God. A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle.
A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Okay. I know his book, The Power of Now, but that is, so A New Earth.
Yes.
If you could see her face right now, she's like breathing it in as if the words are just coming into her body in this moment. It's so good. It's so good. And what's something fun about motherhood for you?
Something fun. Something fun is just looking at how we developed as humans. So we were babies too, right? And we forget about the things that we did. It's like, I don't know, I look at my baby like throwing food or whatever, or like touching like a package of tissues and like really analyzing that. I just think it's so funny what we did and what we forgot, to explore the world.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm noticing the same thing. I mean, mine's only 3 months old, but I am noticing how he notices and how he learns. And like, whoa, I once went through that. We once went through. You're right. It's just fascinating. It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, I know that looking forward gives a lot of anxiety, but I also love desires and things that would just feel so good. So what's one desire that would just light you up?
I want to see my family. Sorry, I'm just kind of emotional here. They haven't met my grandson, my son yet. So I'm hoping I can see them for Christmas because my parents are old and they were supposed to come after he was born, but they said, you know what, the flight is too long. They don't speak any English, so they couldn't make it and they haven't met him yet. So that's my desire. It's just go back home for Christmas.
Oh, sister, I am so hopeful for you. Are flights going right now to Italy? I don't know how that's working.
They are. It's just I left to quarantine, which is totally fine, and I would do it anyway because my parents are old and without vaccines, I wouldn't feel comfortable, but that's okay. We'll have to quarantine for 14 days and then hopefully spend the last 15 days with Christmas included with them. So it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy trip, but I think it's time.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Thank you.
Oh, my heart is just with your whole family. And I can just see you all together now over Christmas. And
thank you so much.
They're going to love your baby boy and he's going to love being with his grandparents. I just love that. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So when you were younger, you loved psychology, you said.
Yes, many things, but yeah, psychology.
I was going to say, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh my God, I wanted to live with dolphins. So I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Yes, of course you wanted to live with dolphins. This is why I love asking the question about what little girl dreams, because as little girls, we really believed we could be all these things. And then we forget. Yes, you want to live with dolphins. And you know what I love? You kind of live with dolphins now, right? Like you connect to your spirit guides and you work with energy centers and we are connected to all animals. Like you're living this like beautiful way. It's so good. It's so good. All right. My last question. What's one thing you want every woman to know?
I think that going back to the sun, they're powerful. I think women are so powerful. Yeah, in our society, it's not clear yet, but it will be. I think the time will come that we will conquer the world. I am convinced of that. So you are powerful. No matter what you think right now in this moment, whatever is happening to you, you're powerful.
Amen, sister. We are the sun. That is like we are walking away on every single person to continue to feel that power, feel that you are the sun, feel yourself radiating, feel that yellow energy right in you. You are powerful.
Yes.
Chiara, you are powerful. You are such a powerful woman. You have such a beautiful presence. Talk about essence, beautiful essence. And what I feel in your essence is that combination of authenticity and honesty. Right? We need much more of that. And that just opened me right up when I read your article on your truth, because I'm in that stage right now, and your deep connection with spirit and yourself and source. And so thank you for doing the work that you do. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for taking me through the visualization and rising us all up to our power.
Thank you so much, Karen. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I just really, fully enjoyed it.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much. Where can everyone find you?
So my website is my name, Chiara, B like Bravo, Townley, all one word, .com.
Great. And we have that in the show notes as well. So everyone out there, make sure you are checking Chiara out. And we thank you for listening to this episode of the Purpose Girl Podcast. We hope you loved it. If you did, make sure that you are sharing it with your friends, your family, with every woman you know. That's how we change the world, one woman at a time. If you haven't left your 5-star review for the Purpose Girl Podcast, what are you waiting for? Head over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen now. It means so much to me, and it helps women all over the world find us. Of course, if you haven't joined the Purpose Girls Facebook group, girlfriend, get on that. We're 2,500 women strong, supporting each other and living our purpose, being that light, rising in our power. So head over there now or find me on Instagram at Karen Rockhind. As always, may you live purposefully, may you love yourself, and may you love life. Bye for now.